to Sticks and Strings. I'm Naomi.
I'm Beth.
I'm Eve.
And,
It's almost my birthday.
well, it's almost your birthday, but guess what happened to me on the way here? It's all your fault.
No, our foot was not on the accelerator.
I got a speeding ticket. I don't know why I was in such a hurry to get over here. I had just gotten the drinks. Well, Eli bought them today, so that's nice. I just got the drinks. And I was just driving down.
You were flying.
I was flying, and I'm like, and then I saw the cop, and I tried to slow down. He didn't fall for it. That was fun. That's been my morning, and my husband is the most long-suffering, forgiving man on earth. I was like, I'm so sorry.
Let's just say this isn't her first ticket.
No, it's not my first ticket.
But you haven't had one in a long time.
Haven't I, though? I don't know. He said, if you haven't gone to traffic court in the last 12 months, and I'm going, I don't think so. Maybe. Check that.
I was gonna say, have you accomplished your goal of getting a speed ticket in every jurisdiction?
Well, yeah, no, I don't have any. There's some outlying cities I don't have any.
Like Gilbert? You have to wait till Robert becomes a police officer there.
In the top purple drawer is the fishing line. It's the only thing I didn't get.
In that drawer right behind you. Oh.
Yeah.
It fell out of the thing.
Thank you.
On this side, yeah.
Anyway, so that's been a great day. But anyway, I'm here now, and I'm driving much more safely. Like literally, I was driving further down the road, and I looked down, and I'm speeding again. I'm like, I did not learn my lesson. Like, can you imagine if I got another ticket with this ticket sitting right here?
So
to jail now, no license.
So when I was in Florida, I was driving back from Daytona. I wasn't very far out of Daytona, and I was headed home. And I lived in Cocoa, and I was going over the speed limit. Well above.
Did you one known only time? You don't.
No.
I was telling Eli. And Eve
I've
doesn't
had.
speed.
I don't.
You've never gotten a ticket, right?
Yes, I have twice. So I got.
That makes me feel better.
I got a ticket there in outside of Daytona for speeding, and I said
Daytona has a raceway, right? So.
So I said
me.
I said to myself, I have better things to do with my money than to give it to the state of Florida. So because it was outside of a city, okay. So I don't speed. And then one day I was late for work, and I was going down Paradise Boulevard at 45 miles an hour. Now, you have to know that it was 45 miles an hour all of my life. And then they changed it to 35 miles an hour. I don't know why. The road hadn't changed. The houses on either side hadn't changed. There weren't any more lights than there had been. They just lowered it because way above there was more houses. And I was annoyed. So I was going 45. It was still speeding. Not speeding a lot, right? And I got stopped. And I sat there eating my licorice and just kind of like, yeah, whatever, I was speeding. And he said, do you know why I stopped you? I said, yeah, I was going 45 and a 35. And he just looked at me and he's like, where are you going so fast? I said, I'm on my way to work. And he's like, can I have your license and registration and all that? I could not find my insurance card. I had every insurance card back to before I had that car.
But not the
Insurance or registration?
Insurance.
Oh, insurance.
I had my registration. And I was like, ugh. I said, look, I have all of these. I assure you, it's a new car. I have insurance. And he looked at it. He goes, well, I'll give you a warning on the insurance, and I'll give you a warning on speeding. Probably because I was like,
acknowledging.
So like, yeah, I know exactly what I was doing. I am so sorry. And it wasn't like egregious speeding. It was just 10 miles. And so in order to prove the insurance, I had to go. So I was late to work that day. Then I had to have the insurance company send me another insurance card. Then I had to go downtown Albuquerque, where there was no parking, and take the insurance information to the proper place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, it's not worth it. I don't want to do this anymore. I will not speed, and I don't speed.
Yeah.
And a month later, I'm going exactly the speed limit, and I turned onto the road right by our house, and I hit a little boy, and if I had been speeding, I would have killed him.
Mm-hmm.
And so when Uber passengers would try to get me to speed, I'm like, I'll get you there as safe as I possibly can. But their lack of planning is not my emergency.
Yeah.
But you know, when I worked in Mike Huckabee's office, one of the guys that was on his security team, I guess, they called him the Colonel. I don't know, you know, I can't remember his name, but I guess he used to be a cop, and I mean, you know, a street cop or whatever. And he said that a lot of times, you know, he'd be ready to let somebody off, you know, for speeding or whatever, but then they came, you know, talked to him with all kinds of attitude and were smart alecky and stuff like that. So he went ahead and wrote him a ticket, you know, because he was going to let him off, but then they said whatever, and so he said, okay, fine, you get a ticket.
Thanks
to my speeding, we're doing our stories at the beginning.
One story. So
Speeding stories.
this always has
This always
has the thing sticking out everywhere. I can't find it.
It's invisible.
So you're going first, Beth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep us on track. Let's get back on track.
Okay. So I really only have one thing I've been working on all week because my WIP-GO goal has been to finish this Parade of Elephants by Janine McGowan of the Blue Flower. Okay, I can't do this while I'm talking. And I think on my update on my channel last week, I said Elizabeth Ann can stitch was the designer because I had her on my brain because she had been at the attic. And I talked about that. But Janine McGowan of the Blue Flower is the one that designed this. So this is Parade of Elephants, and I'll post a picture. Probably when I post the picture, I will have finished this because I'll probably be able to finish it while we're talking. Because I just finished this elephant. So it's Parade of Elephants, and I did it on this red Lugana that I dyed myself. And yeah, and it's all done except for this elephant right here, the blanket thing on the elephant. And I just finished this little blanket. But yeah, so that's all I've been working on this week. I was hoping I could finish it like last night or something, and I could go back to Black Cat season stuff, but that didn't happen. And so my other new start, I was trying to remember what the Year in the Woods animal was for October, and I should have remembered. It's just very easy. It's the bat. So this is my other new start for the month. I just found this pattern. You know, yesterday I finally looked at it. I was like, what is that pattern? It's the bat, and this is by Cottage Garden Samplings. Yeah. And this is the October pattern. And so that's going to be my other new start. Yeah. And that's going to be my one new start, and my second new start is going to be the second Black Cat season pattern. It's Black Cat singing in the dead of night. Because I've got the border started, not quite finished, but I should be able to finish it. And then I'm going to start on Piano Cat also, because the goal on that is 6 days. So I'm getting a pretty good start to my WIP-GO, and that's really all I have right now, because I haven't done anything. I've just been trying to finish this parade.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll go next. So for me, what did I do this week? I finished Mark's second sock. Remember that sock I had? I'm like, I need to do the second one. I finally did it, basically all in one sitting, and I finished it. I don't have it here to show you because I finished it, put the two together early one morning, walked into his room, and I was like, here's your socks, and he wore them to work. So they're already in circulation, and he liked them. And so I've just barely been working on this a little bit. I've had another really tough week at work. So, I haven't done a lot, but so I'm still working on this little baby. I'm in the decreases now. So I got, it increased to the center, and now I'm decreasing. And, so it's going to get smaller again. And I took a day off. And I went, one of the things I did on my day off, I'll tell more stories about that, but I went to Tempe Yarn and Fiber, and I don't have anything that I didn't bring it with me. I just got 3 things of sock yarn. I'll take some pictures. The first 2 are red and yellow, because I think I told you Hannah wants solid red socks and solid yellow socks to wear with jeans. And so I went to pick that, and then I found another really pretty purple stripey looking one. So I did that. And I think that's all I did this week. Finished Mark's second sock. And this morning I was doing swatches on Hannah's sock, and I'm worried because I think she has a smaller foot than Mark and I, and I was increasing my tension on this cylinder I have, and it still seems a little bit too wide, and I don't want it to be too loosey-goosey for her. So, because I said, please measure your foot. She's like, and she sent me a picture. She was practicing. She's like, can't you just look up the typical size for a size 7 foot? I mean, a size 7 shoe. And I was like, okay, but it won't be custom. I told her. And so then I found that, and I can't believe the length on it, because it's the same length as my foot, and my foot's a lot bigger than hers. And then the width, like, I dialed down because I had to loosen the tension a lot to make the sock wide enough to fit Mark comfortably, and his feet and my feet are basically the same size. And then,
is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Whatever, it is what it is. No, my feet are big. He's normal. And then, so I measured the width of the tube with that setting, and it was way too wide. It was like 4 inches, and it says hers is supposed to be like 3 3/4, which means you want it to be about like 3.5, so that it's
Stretchy.
negative ease. And then I dialed up the tension, and it came out at like 3.75, which is probably where I'm going to keep it. But then I stupidly dialed the tension up higher. So I was like, well, I'll just make one more swatch with a higher tension to see how it works out and try it there. If not, I'll just maybe go back to the 3 3/4 inch width. It'll probably be fine. I just don't want it, too big.
Yeah.
Because that'll be no fun to wear. So I texted her, please measure the width of your foot. Just do me that one thing. Step on a ruler. Just look at it. Just like, please. Anyway. And so that's really all I've been doing, fiber-wise. I've just been working like a dog. So I'm exhausted. But that's it. That's it for me.
I thought I had nothing, and these guys have less. Okay, so...
Oh, one thing I was going to add is that this is my last piece of this.
For your walk in the woods thing?
For the walk in the woods.
I see.
Yeah.
Pretty.
I love this color.
Yeah, it's really pretty. Okay, Eve, you're up.
So I'm trying to make scissor fobs. So far, I don't like anything I'm doing. I'm trying to make scissor fobs with the charms that I showed last week. But I do have a finish. Falamingo.
Oh, yeah.
With hands-on design. I
Let me see
finished
your
it
finish.
last night.
Cute.
So I didn't iron it, so it's a little weird looking. But now I can start in the other one. But I think that I may work on those ornaments that I've decided to do for the family first. This stupid sheep is taking me a lot longer than I thought it would. Rude. Just because I keep making mistakes and stuff.
It's not the sheep's fault.
No. So I am at the point where I'm putting the light strings on. And then there's going to be little dashes around this heart. But I decided to use this thread. And it's DMC F301. 321. I think that's an F. E? I don't know. I can't read my handwriting. But this is shiny and it's red, and I looked at it and I was like, yeah, that'll work.
Let's see. Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going to use to do the little lights and the stuff around his scarf and all that. I would have done this here on camera, but this stuff, let's
You
just
don't want to
say,
hear her cussing.
right.
This is a family show. No cussing on
So-
camera.
So I forgot to show. This is it's called Snowflake Sheep, and it is by Lindsay Whitney of Counting Puddles, and it's in this cross-stitch
Where'd you get
Christmas
that magazine?
ornaments.
At the attic, or?
I got it at the attic because I didn't want to buy just one thread.
I like magazines like that.
So I thought I would have both of these finished this week, but
That and what else? Oh, the
the,
flamingos.
the flamingo and the
I
sheep.
see.
But I've been working on a project for the symphony, so that even though I haven't started sewing it yet, I sit here going, well, if I do this, and
Yeah.
Oh,
and
it's
so it's-
Contemplating is the hardest part.
Well,
like,
especially when you're making something
Trying to
from
fix-
scratch.
making something,
Yeah.
and that's it's like I made a cutting error because I took into account it's going to have this back. It's a giant back, and it's going to have a gusset, and I took into account the extra fabric on the sides and the extra fabric on the bottom, and then I forgot to add seam allowance. And so I've been crying in my soup trying to figure out.
So what this is it's a large bag, like 3 feet by 2 feet, for our education department at the symphony that takes posters. They take all these posters for their classroom concerts and things like that. So they approached me and I said if I would make one and for them, because they know that we do this and we are creative and we sew and all that. And so she came to me and she's like, would you do this? And I said, by me, you mean Eve? Well, because she's the master bag maker and I knew she could figure it out. So I said, absolutely.
And
So-
and I have figured out what it is I wanted to do. I went and bought the fabric, and like I said, I was just contemplating, like, okay, and I need to cut part of this off, and how much do I need to cut off? And then forgot about the seam allowance. And I said, well, I went back and looked at the measurements that you said I needed for the gusset, and I was like, I can make it 1/8 of an inch smaller, but is that going to be enough of the seam allowance? And so I've been waiting for Naomi to bring me they have cardboards the same size as the posters. And if I place that where the gusset is at the bottom and, look at the top, I will know for sure if I have enough of a seam
Come here,
allowance.
Rogues. Don't bark. Don't bark.
But if not,
Don't bark.
I figured out how I can do it. I just would rather not. So
Yeah.
So I also, this is my WIP-GO, one of my WIP-GO pieces this is The Chronicles of Narnia by, it's Stitching Book Club, but it's also Sapphire Mountain Handcrafts, the same people that did my temperature cell. And there's a photo on the,
Oh, of the whole thing
Yeah.
finished? Oh, good.
yeah,
I want to
so,
see it.
so I worked on this. I did not, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do 10 days. Because of the bag, of wanting to do the ornaments, all of that. But I'm like, I'm going to get work on it. I'm going to work on it. I'm just not sure if I'm going to get 10 days in. And I'm taking extra time. I didn't do a lot besides fill in this little thing right here. I started on this row down here.
It's such pretty colors.
It is. You know, like I said, I spent
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't know,
that's
several
kinda
hours.
complicated, that little thingy.
when I very first started doing it,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to turn the fabric and make it the wrong way. So I had to take it out a couple of times, but I did it right this time. And this still needs one color in it. This one, it still needs
That
one
little
color.
star thing.
Yeah, it needs the dark purple that's on this side. But I'm trying to fill in down here as much as I can. But that means a lot of counting, and I don't want to take it out. So I'm taking my time. And so I worked on this maybe 3 days, and it's already, what, the 9th? 7th, 8th? I don't know, something like that.
It's the 7th today, I think.
Yeah, because it'll be the 9th on Monday.
So, temperature.
Okay.
We have had some wild weather.
Yesterday was hot.
It was hot. It was
hot,
100,
hot. I did not like it.
102.
Felt worse.
It was 102. Well, yeah, because we've had 80 somethings, you know, I don't know, lower.
Yeah, it got down to like 60, 68 or something overnight. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're back into
my
the
blankie.
yellows down here. And then it went back up to red. So last Saturday it was hot, and yesterday it was hot. But we had 3 days
Really nice
of
weather.
very nice weather.
Yeah.
What I call Chamber of Commerce weather.
Yeah.
That's why people, they come in October or February and they experience Phoenix and they say, oh, it'd be so nice to live here. Yeah, if you're going to decide whether or not you want to live in Phoenix, come during the summer.
Yeah.
And if you can't handle the summer here,
Have you seen that picture? If you can't handle me at 115, you don't deserve me at 68. Or whatever.
Yeah, I moved out here in mid-October.
Yeah.
You know, when I came here, and it was lovely. It was beautiful.
yeah, but
then,
you've
like,
been here before in the summer.
Yes, I have. The summer that Eli was born.
Yeah.
The first time I came out here, it was midsummer, and
It was horrible.
I was like, oh my God, why would anybody live here?
And now look at you.
And now I like it. Okay, so with Beth's birthday coming up, I said, oh, I forgot to work on her thing. So I pulled this out again. This is Plant Pots by Darling and Winsey. And I had only worked on it one more day, and I was stitching where the eyes are, right here. And realized
Oh, no.
that this middle part right here was one stitch too narrow. So the ear was too close in, and so when I went to put the eyes in, they weren't centered. And I was like, I don't want the eyes uncentered. So I talked about it on my Flosstube, and I had a couple comments, and I talked about it with Beth, and I just made one ear fat.
Go on. Just take it all out. Go ahead and make a fat ear.
Because in the long run, one little fat ear, so what? But if the eyes were
Wonky?
Yeah.
wonky, you would
You'd be like, what's wrong with that cat?
Yeah, looking askance.
So
Well, you're better than me, Eve, because with Beth's birthday coming up, I ain't working on nothing. So.
Well, yeah, but she's not going to get it for her birthday, so. But that's okay.
Turnabout is fair play. Eli didn't get his baby sampler till last week.
How many years is that?
His grown man's last
25
years. Really?
25.
That's like I said, when he was.
So don't you feel bad about keeping her birthday present a little longer?
when he was going to be born, I started it when like kind of at the last minute because I didn't get the idea right away. When she first found out she was pregnant, at first said she was pregnant. I didn't get the idea right away, and then I looked around until I finally found one that I liked. So I was working on it, but then he was born, and then I kind of lost my mojo because
he was born.
Because he was already born, and so I tried to work on it a little, and I just it was one of those things. It was like a cough medicine thing, where I was like, I know I need to finish this, but
so. I want to get all of those ornaments done. So I'm contemplating nixing most of WIP-GO. I may work on it a little bit like I have been with Narnia. Mm-hmm. But there was another reason why I wanted to push to finish that flamingo. We went up to 400, then we went down. Then we went up to 400, and we went down. And so we're at $3.99.
Subscribers, she means.
Yes, sorry. We're at $3.99. And what are you chewing on? And I was like, if I finish this, we can give away 2 of that flamingo pattern. So, yeah, so we're still contemplating the giveaway. We haven't nailed anything down because y'all won't subscribe.
Well, I wonder if about YouTube because, according to my list that I have of how many episodes, I had my last Saturday was my 301st episode, but I was looking. I was looking at somebody to see how many subscribers I have. So I was looking, in the stuff, the tools or whatever, and it said, under how many episodes, and it said I had 287 episodes or something like that. So I thought, well, either I really, really badly counted it, or YouTube doesn't know what it's doing. So,
Well,
judging by how many times you've had to pull stuff out, maybe it's your counting.
That's not me. That's
because I was like, wait a minute, how can I have 300 episodes? I started way after Beth, and so I went back, and one of the episodes further back, where it was 200 and something,
you skipped?
No. When I looked at it to look at what episode number, I looked at the subscriber number. And so
you took that as your number.
Right.
And went from there.
Yeah. So it was kind of like, uh-oh, oops.
Lies, it's all lies.
Yes. So that was,
anyway, so we need at least one more subscriber, but more would be better. So tell your friends. And if you're not subscribed, who knows? You could subscribe and then in a couple weeks win a prize. So like and subscribe if you're so inclined. We're desperate to get to that 400 mark. So, but we're so grateful for all our new subscribers.
Yes.
And they're very chatty, our new subscribers and our old subscribers. We love the comments. And somebody asked me a couple weeks ago how the dump cake turned out that I made. And I will tell you, it was good, but it was very sweet. So, but it was good.
There was a comment, and I was like, I need to answer that on, what was it? Sorry. I was like, wait a minute.
Are you done, Eve?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I know what it was. One of our commenters said, "What are those blue lines that keep moving behind Beth's head?" And I was like, "The only thing back there are the two palms."
see, right now they're washed out. You can see them at the top.
Well, and the sun hits that window, and I think it makes it so reflective.
And you also have a sunscreen on the window, which makes it weird.
Right.
Like that. Yeah.
But she was like, it was going and coming and going and coming, and she was like, "What the heck?" And so I said I'd look into it, and then I answered her back that it was palm trees.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you can see them at the very top of the window here.
And
they
so
do
she
come all the way
answers
down,
back.
but-
She goes, "So no long skinny aliens in Arizona?" And I don't know about that really.
There might be, but not right outside the window.
Oh, and on my channel, one of my subscribers commented, and she said, "Just use the 800 number on the Coke and call them." And then she goes, "That'll get to them sooner." And you know, I did that once at Burger King. I was so angry at that Burger King because I had been oh, sorry, dog. I kicked the dog. So I had been at a craft show in Florida, in like near the Miami area. Maybe it was Fort Lauderdale. I don't know. I'd been outside all day at that craft show, and it was hot. Okay. And my friend and I were talking about it, and we said, you know, there's a Burger King that we just passed. We can go there afterward into the air conditioning before we head home and eat dinner, right? So we were kind of looking forward to it. And, you know, and I was like, I like my hamburger a certain way, blah, blah, blah. You know, their motto is have it your own way. They don't say that anymore, have you noticed? So we went in and we went to order. And that girl, it took her about 6 tries. And then she finally repeated it back correctly. And I heard her say it correctly. You know how they used to call it out instead of with a computer? I heard her say it correctly. So when our food was ready and, you know, go up and get it, I opened my sandwich and it's completely wrong. And at that time I ate French fries, so I had French fries too. And so I took it back up to the counter. And nobody would acknowledge that I was eating. My friend and I have a saying, I'm too fat to be invisible. So I'm standing there, and, you know, people are just walking by. Nobody's asking me why I'm standing there. Meanwhile, my French fries are getting cold. Finally, somebody comes, and I said, by that time I'm annoyed. I mean, I was standing there quite some time, and he gave me all kinds of attitude about it being wrong. The manager did.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've been standing here forever to try to get my sandwich made correctly. I heard the lady say it correctly. I know you had it correctly on the thing.
Yeah.
So he was kind of abrupt, I want to say. And they started making it. And I said, I want the number for your corporate offices. And he goes, it's right up there on that sign.
Okay.
And I said, does it look to you like I have a pencil in my hand? I would like for you to write it down and hand it to me.
Oh, no.
So he finally did, because the number was right there. I could have gone and got a pencil, right? Or taken a picture of it or whatever. And when I got back up to Coco, I called them the
Yeah.
next day. And I said, you know, unbelievably bad service. And it wasn't that the hamburger was wrong, because
Yeah.
people are human.
Yeah.
But don't walk by me 10 times and then give me attitude, you know, when I'm like, my sandwich is wrong. So they sent me in the mail, they sent me a whole bunch of free Whopper coupons.
That's fun. Last night, oh my gosh. So I don't like to talk badly about our patrons, but this one man last night, if you're watching, sir, so part of this conversion to our new system is some things are glitchy, and one of those glitches is we're trusting when we do a will call printout that will call is printing, and so we're finding that some people aren't getting printed and put in the box, and most people are like, my name wasn't in the box, and they sent me down here, and I'm like, okay, and I find it and I print it, and they're like, thank you, and they go on. This guy was like, they said my name wasn't in there, and he hands me his driver's license, and every state license is different, and even the Arizona ones, I and the lights and how it was, I couldn't see his last name was on top, and then it was first name, middle name, and he said it, and I so the easiest way in the new system to look people up is their email address. And I said, you know, what's your email? And he hands me his license, and he goes, it's first name, last name, number, at whatever. And so I'm looking, and I'm typing his first name and his middle name, because my brain didn't realize that his last name was first up there, you know, on top. I actually, like, the reflection of the license, I couldn't see it. And he was talking very fast, and I was typing, and I kept getting it wrong. And I typed it in, and of course, because it was wrong. And then he's like, last name, and he goes, oh, because his email was a shortened version of his first name. So he's like, oh, it says that. Well, it's this. And he spells it out all angrily, and finally I do it, and it doesn't show up. And I might have typed it wrong. I don't know. So then finally I just did a wildcard search thing, and I found him. But as I was doing that, he goes, you're not going to find me for donations either. And I'm like, and I was like, oh, like that. You know, most people, when you start to joke with them, they kind of joke back. And nothing. And so I got his ticket and gave him his license. And I'm like, here you go. Thank you for your patience. And he just took his ticket and wouldn't even look at me. And I said, thank you. And he still would not look at me, and I'm like, ooh. And then he was sitting near me in the hall, and I was like, so I went to the concert, and I was like, I'm sitting there wanting to go like, I see you, sir. Hope you're enjoying your seat and your little drink. No, I was kind of sore about that. I was just like, oh, okay. So talking about McDonald's and good and bad people. Okay, so today. So at the McDonald's by my house, which is much superior by the McDonald's near your house, and now it's where we always go. There's an older gentleman who I've seen a couple times, like the last 2 Saturdays. Very nice, kind of funny, kind of jokes around with you. And so I pulled up, and he goes, you're the 4 Diet Cokes, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, you want a drink holder? I said, yeah. So he puts them in there. And then he's handing them out the window. He goes, well, first give you the straws, because it's windy out. And he gives me the straws. And then he has the tray, and he's going out the window, and he goes like this halfway to the car, and he goes, ah! He goes, just joking, and he was so funny. It was hysterical. It was good. And I like him, and they always get everything right at that store.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, that's not true. One time I came home, I came here with a bunch of Dr. Peppers.
We went to that same McDonald's, and
By my house? Oh,
ours.
The bad one.
We went inside because I did the comment on the receipt.
So she had the free.
Oh, I see.
Buy one get one free or whatever. So we went inside to take advantage of that, and
at least you can serve your own Coke there, and when you go inside.
Yeah, and the manager that took care of us was very nice about the whole thing. Very apologetic, and saying,
because I told her, and she's like, No, that's not our policy.
Oh, the same manager? At that
No, it
same
was a
place?
different one.
I'm saying it was, but
It was
the
a
same
manager at the
store.
same place. Yeah.
And this, when you went, it was at night, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she goes, well, sometimes they freeze up and stuff. I said, no, that wasn't the issue. She wasn't saying they didn't have ice cream.
Or that it wasn't working. Or,
I said, and I saw her carrying ice cream to another car. She just said it was their policy to only sell it on the app.
Wow.
And yeah, and so she gave us free McFlurries.
That's nice.
Yes.
Is mine in the freezer waiting for me?
No.
I was going to say, this is a very busy weekend because Eve and I are going to the symphony concert on Sunday.
Yeah, it's a Beatles reimagined. It's
Yes.
really cool.
And then,
Really cool.
And then
I went
Naomi and I are going to hear Sting on Monday.
She's forcing me.
That's not
Yes.
the weekend.
Well, you know,
Well, it is.
it's several days of busy.
It's the
and
end
then,
of the week.
and then the next day, Tuesday, is my birthday. And
And we have to go to orchestra rehearsal.
Yes. And I have to go to Bible study.
Uh-huh.
I was going to say, Monday, in honor of my birthday, I decided to give everybody the day off from mail and it's a bank holiday.
Oh, I was
In
going to say,
honor
I
of
don't
my-
get the day off.
In honor of my birthday. Yeah. Only some people get the day, but you know.
Okay.
Actually, it's John Lennon's birthday.
Oh, but it's
the
not your
9th.
birthday.
No, but I
Stop
always used to say have always said all the best people were born in October. Sting's birthday was like October 2nd,
Well, good for
and
him.
several of my friends' birthdays are like this in the first couple of weeks or sometime in October.
I say she's
and-
forcing me to go to Sting, not because I do like him, but I'm just not that into it. I'm just not that into it. But the only reason she wants me to go is so I'll drive her.
Well, and I
I know,
wouldn't want to
just
go
joking.
like that something like that by myself. It's kind
Yeah.
of but and I haven't been to very many concerts, but my one of my favorite stories was that when I was in Little Rock, Harry Connick Jr. was coming to Little Rock, and I thought I really want to go to that, but at the time that I read it, I think the tickets were not on sale yet. And I was thinking, I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford that, and so I just kind of just kind of like wishful thinking, and then I kind of forgot about it when the tickets did go on sale and stuff like that. So I, hadn't really thought about it. And then when he was, and then I got a phone call at work, from the lady who was at that time our personnel manager for the symphony, and she goes, and she had like this drawl, and hi Beth, I was just wondering if you'd be interested in playing the Harry Connick Jr. concert. I was like, what? And what was really nice is that whenever he would go into town, he would hire local musicians to play, because he has a like sort of a big band version of concerts, and so he had some songs that he did with this little combo that was traveling with him, and then some songs that he did with a local orchestra plus his combo. So he would hire local musicians. So
I always wondered if he came to play with the symphony, or if I didn't realize.
no, yeah,
that.
he would just hire just a bunch of
That's
people.
cool.
Yeah, and so the hard part was that we had one rehearsal with the charts, and we couldn't take the charts out of the building. So we had to like learn everything on the fly, because we didn't get it in advance. It was just like
It's called a professional musician.
And the thing is that it's really hard stuff.
Yeah.
But if any of you are Harry Connick Jr. fans, and you have his "Come By Me" CD, that was the music he was touring for in support of, and so one of the songs is a version he did of the "There's No Business Like Show Business," and he did kind of like a slow version of it, and so there's like a walking bassoon part
Oh,
Boom,
nice.
ba-dum, boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, 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 ba-dum, bum,
Yeah.
bum. And so that in the concert that we did, that was the part I had.
Nice.
So I always say I did a duet with Harry Connick Jr.
Aw, that's fun.
But there was one song that we were playing that had some really hard lick in it that like all the woodwinds had this. And the thing is like he's singing whatever, and then and I think he stops, and then we go this thing. And so when we were rehearsing it, we weren't rehearsing with Harry Connick Jr. We were it was his conductor and us, So
Oh my gosh.
we're reading through this, and it gets to that part, and like it was the oboe and I think saxes and me, and maybe clarinets. I don't know what the instrumentation was, but we got to that part, and all of us went. And it was like dead silent. Like everybody played like the first few notes because it was really fast and really high, and like trying to figure out the fingers. You didn't have time to work on anything. And so he's like, "Yeah, we'll come back and do that again." So the second time we were like, enough people kind of faked it that we can. And so for the concert, it was
Just sitting there practicing that spot.
And so, well, actually, yeah. So when we were practicing it, I took when I on my this little envelope that I had in my folder or whatever, I wrote down the note names, A, B, C, D, whatever it was, and so we had a break between the rehearsal and the concert that night, and so I went home, and I took a piece of music manuscript paper, and I wrote out that little phrase, on paper so that I could practice it at home.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I can't play this, I can't play it. So, but I got well enough that I could kind of fake my way through it. So we did the concert and everything. And so afterward, he was out there signing autographs. And so there was a little line there. And I came up to him with that piece of paper. Yeah. And actually, one of my friends that was a viola player, I gave her the other piece of the thing so she could get his autograph too. But so I had him sign that, and I said, "This is the only lick I couldn't play." And the concert he goes, "Yeah, that's hard." I was like, "I have that somewhere in my stuff."
That's fun.
But yeah, so it was my one of my best favorite memories of playing the symphony was I got to play with Harry Connick Jr.
That's fun.
Yeah,
I don't know why I thought it was like a regular concert.
Oh, no, yeah.
I thought it was too. All the way that she's ever talked about it.
Yeah.
I thought it was too.
I thought it was like.
But
he came to play
one
with
of the things I really liked about him, I've never liked him like Beth did ever, but when he was one of the judges on American Idol.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
One of the things I really liked about him was that he says you have to learn your craft, because he would get mad if they didn't know music.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, how can you want to be a singer and not understand music?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I remember one time, one of the early on ones, and I stopped watching a long time ago, but one of the early on ones, they had a Beatles week, and a lot of the contestants didn't know any Beatles songs. And I was like, how can you not know any?
Well, but why would you go to that during the Beatles week if you don't know any Beatles songs? You know what I mean? What are you talking about?
No,
one of them.
On American Idol.
Oh, yeah.
They had to pick a Beatles song, and some people didn't know any. And and the reason that shocks me, and I am not a musician. I know music. I've played music.
She's not a professional musician, but
no. I'm just not somebody. I like art.
Yeah.
But
you have a fundamental understanding.
But you can read music.
But I can read music, and I have an understanding of. But one of the things about Beatles music, with American popular music, is that so many things that you hear in today's music has a foundation in past music, right? So you should understand some of the bigger artists of past music. Mm-hmm. It's not that you have to like them, but you should understand them. You know, so I was like, how can you, you know, it's just like if you want to be a marching band director, you need to study Sousa.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not because you want to play just like that, but if you're a marching band director, you should probably understand that music.
Yeah.
You
Like,
know?
you know, it's like, it's interesting. It's like Hannah, as a violinist, of course, she likes classical music, you know, and there was even a time where she like didn't actively like listen to it, like for pleasure, you know. Now she does more, but her tastes are so varied. She just loves the existence of music, I think. And she, you know, because one day she's like, I'm on a Beatles kick, and she'll, you know, from you know, this particular album or that particular album, or she'll be on a, you know, something from the 70s, and she loves Cat Stevens, and like, you know, and then there's a lot of artists. She's very picky, but she likes all kinds of genres, like, so it's very, but it's because she loves the craft.
But see, I think that's why.
And you, like,
I think the reason I
expose
feel
yourself
like
to
that
this.
is because if you study art in school, you don't study just whatever version of art you like, contemporary art or, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. You study art. You go. Will freely admit I often fell asleep, okay, in my art history class. But that was because it was the first class in the morning and it was dark and the teacher talked like this all the time. You know, but to know the artists that came before, not just classical art, not just modern art, not just contemporary art, you know, just to study other artists so that you can know who you are as an artist.
Yeah.
And when Naomi graduated from the New England Conservatory of Music, I went to Boston for her graduation. And she had some classes and stuff to do after I was already there. And I needed something to do. And one of the days I walked to a nearby museum, and it had, my intention was to walk through the museum. But this museum had some of the iconic American art, the painting that was done of George Washington that is on the dollar bill, you know, some of these early American paintings. And I just sat in that room on a bench staring at them. Like some of the stuff, I believe it was by Paul Revere, but it was of silver. You felt like you could touch it, like it was three-dimensional. And so I was staring at it because I was like, how did he do that? And there is such a big difference between looking at it on a slide where it looks like it's this big and seeing it in person when it's as tall as a building.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, how did they reach the top to paint on that? Did they lay it on the ground or did they stand on a stool?
Yeah.
And the paintings of George and Martha Washington where it's just a face. It's a huge canvas with just the face. Because they didn't like it after he did the face, and he says, fine, I'm not finishing it. Because he wasn't going to get paid for it. And so it's this, and then they turn out to use it on the I'm like, this poor artist never got paid for this. So I think that when you decide that you want to do something like that for a living, you need to study and at previous things, not to copy.
Yeah, like when
But just
the
enrich
composers,
your brain.
like when you know, a lot of times the composers, like somebody like Mozart would, you know, take and study the works of a previous composer, because again, they were not, copying that, but like to learn how they did what they did, and you take it apart and you study how they
It all builds on.
yeah, and then you're ready to do your own work, and because if you don't know how it
Well, they always
how
say
it comes
in any
together.
art you have to learn the rules,
Mhm.
and then you can break them.
Yeah.
But you can't break them until you understand them.
Right,
And I
right.
think that's really true because, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but to really make your the art you're doing like worthwhile and meaningful, I think
Yeah.
you need to understand, especially because it just teaches you so much technique.
Yeah, like a lot of pop singers, like even like the Beatles, they didn't really have a background of like studying music, and serious conservatory kind of thing. As a matter of fact, John Lennon was like was like an art student. He was in an art academy or whatever when he started becoming a Beatle, but so. But as they so they learned like rock and roll from the radio, like imitating songs and stuff that other people sang, and then they started writing their own songs, and but as over the years as they progressed, especially when they were working in the studio, they were learning like from George Martin, the producer, learning a little bit more about different kinds of music, about classical music, about jazz, whatever, and learning different chords and things like that like some people are saying, yeah, that's a jazz chord, people doing it forever, and so there's different ways of learning it and all that, but you have to, the deeper your background is, the better your craft is.
Mm-hmm.
And so like for Harry Connick Jr., one of the great things about his music is that he, like when I was playing with him, there was some piece he was playing that it was like, I've never been I feel like I've never been a great musician, that because a lot of people I know could, they can, I don't know, do things better than I can, I guess.
I'm
But,
always impressed by people who can improvise, or like understanding chord structure,
right,
the way that, especially jazz musicians,
Yeah.
man, they understand it, I think, way better than classical musicians even. Like, I understand basic chord progressions and basic understanding, but I think a jazz musician,
to do it on the
and
fly.
Tim, like our brother, he's
Yeah.
he's amazing in that regard, and so that they can understand how music is structured and how to manipulate it in such a way that creates certain styles. I can't.
That's what I was amazed by when he did. I want to say the song "Sweet Georgia Brown" or something like that. So of course he was improvising on that. Harry Connick Jr. And so, but I remember listening to that going, oh my God,
Yeah.
Because to hear like just the, the chord structure and how, it all came back around to the basic melody and stuff like that. It was amazing to me.
Yeah.
And there was something that he was playing. It might've been that he was kind of singing along with what he was playing or something. And it was just amazing to hear and see in person, like that, in front of that it was just happening in front of your face, and that was, like I said, that was one of the greatest experiences I ever
don't
had.
understand like composers, honestly.
Yeah,
Like Steve Hackman, the guy who wrote the show that we're going to see, the concert we're going to see. It's called Beatles Reimagined, and he's really kind of an interesting guy. I kind of, in my snooty way, thought that I wouldn't like him, or I wasn't sure if I would like this concert. But and he's come before. He like juxtaposes popular music and classical music. Like he did a Brahms versus Radiohead at a couple of seasons ago. I didn't go to that concert, But I heard about it kind of because it was like the previous season before I started working again, I think. And so he juxtaposed Radiohead songs against Brahms's music, and at the end of this season, he's doing the same thing with Mahler's Resurrection Symphony, Symphony 2, isn't it? I think it's Symphony 2.
Yeah, I think so.
Symphony number 2.
Something famous.
And the works of 2 rappers. It's called, what's it called? I can't remember the name that he named the concert, but, Resurrection Mixtape. That's what he's calling it. Because we're playing Mahler 2 the week prior, like the full symphonic chorus thing. And then the next week he's doing the Resurrection Mixtape, where he's taking the music of Mahler and also juxtaposing it against these 2 rappers, Tupac Shakur and I can't think of the name of the other rapper. So at first I was like, there's no way I'm going to listen to that concert. It's just not my jam. But after listening to Beatles Reimagined, I'm kind of like, that might be interesting. Unfortunately, that's the week Hannah's graduating from college, so I probably will not be able to see it. But this Beatles Reimagined, it's basically a composition. It's like he meshes together 2 or 3 songs in each piece, and he's written full orchestral music. And then the singers are there, and there's a drummer and a guitar player and a pianist. And so it's a little bit back and forth with that, but he's taken their music from the point of view of all the women that they write about, their girlfriends, their mothers, their wives, whatever. So that's kind of the point of view he took. And so you hear like the actual songs often, but not always. It's really kind of cool. And I was really, really impressed.
Did you ever hear Tim when he said that rap music is just country music set to a beat or something like that?
Our brother?
Yeah. Because he said it's the same chords. Just, as and I was like,
he's
okay,
so
that's hilarious.
He understands.
That's hilarious, but I don't understand.
Right, exactly. He understands music in a different way than I do, and he always like, oh, you have to always read music. That's what he says. Yeah, and he can read music, but he can just improvise. Yeah, it's really amazing.
There was. I always used to say when we used to do like a Brahms symphony in Arkansas, is that it's like rock and roll.
It is,
and because it's very rhythmic. It's very you're very unexpected, very syncopated. Yeah, and it's just like rock and roll.
Well, and there's parts of Beethoven too. Parts of Beethoven, and I'm like, this is kind of
but you have to understand a lot of those what we call classical musicians. They were just as popular. People were like, that music is too wild.
Yeah, back when they used to have, what was it, Rite of Spring, when they had a riot in the hall?
Well, like our classical conductor always read when he would try to introduce a new piece to the audience, which our audience doesn't always like new music. 20th century like living composers. One time he was introducing something, and he started to read. He goes, "I'm going to read you a review of a piece that we're playing tonight." And it was like, this is raucous, it's awful, all this review was horrible, like just completely. And he goes, that's the review for Beethoven's Third Symphony that we're playing later. I think it was the third. It could have been the seventh, but it was one of those. And he goes, so...
Well, Mozart also.
Yeah. Every new piece has, is hard to absorb the first time you hear it, or, and not every single piece is immediately accepted. So basically, like, give this piece a chance, kind of thing.
Well, I think Tim was the one who told me something about that. But it's true that you whenever like your favorite artist has a new album out, a lot of times it's like, well, I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like that. And then after a while, it's like, oh yeah.
Oh, look, the aliens. Look, the aliens behind your head.
Yeah, I know.
They're moving and moving.
They're
I think
moving.
it's from the wind.
Yeah,
and stuff.
the shadows of the other trees on them.
Yeah. The eye, that's one of the reasons why, like, you don't want to watch reruns all the time and all that, because the eye wants something new and the ear wants something familiar. So your eye wants to see a new episode, a new movie, and all that stuff. Your ear wants to hear your favorite artist's greatest hits.
Yeah.
Is that why we sing the music to the shows that we watch?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it happens all the time.
Yeah. So it's interesting because that's why some composers, I think, are more beloved than others.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody like Tchaikovsky gives you those same beautiful, gorgeous melodies 10,000 times. So by the end of the movement, you're like, I know this piece. I love this piece because you've heard it. Whereas like Beethoven, he's a little teased because like he'll do something and maybe he'll do it 2 or 3 times and then you kind of want more and then he switches. And Hannah says he always knows exactly the right amount of times to to introduce something. But I think that's when that's why John Williams is so beloved, because every time you see a face of a certain person in a movie, you hear the same music, and then every time she when Leia's there, you hear Leia's theme, and there she is again, you hear Leia's theme, and so you feel like it, or and so then when you listen to the score, you hear Leia's theme, and you have all these associations, and because it's repetitive.
Bump, 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 bump,
Yeah.
bump. Jaws music.
So speaking about all that we've been talking about, you also have to understand when to ignore some of that to do your own art.
Yeah.
Twice I have been told that it takes me too long, that I cannot be a successful artist, and honestly, I don't work as an artist, even though I should. And maybe it's because of comments like this. In order to be a successful artist, you need to do your art quickly. I am not a fast artist by any stretch of the imagination. I got a very low grade in art in college because she said I took too long to do the painting. And this other artist, she's done 10 paintings in the time that you've done one. I'm like, yeah, but I painted every single hair on that water buffalo. And my art may not be the same as hers. And is it supposed to be the same as hers? I am a very detail-oriented artist. I like to do detail. And then I was reading a book when I started using pastels for doing faces and stuff like that. I was reading a library book on using pastels, and especially for faces, and it said it should never take you more than an hour to complete the picture. I'm like, that's crazy.
That sounds like that poetry book in the Dead Poets Society, when it's like you can plot a poem's value on a scale, like it's and its moral value, and it you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
And
that sounds like that kind of book. That's stupid.
I take a lot longer than an hour. Let's just say that, okay? I take a lot longer than an hour, and that is because of the level of detail that I like, and and it depends on what medium I'm working in. And people say, "Oh, what's your medium?" I said, "Well, I like several.
Whatever
I'm working on right now. Right now, I do mostly fabric and this kind of stuff. But I also love pastels. I also love Prismacolor. I also love acrylics. I don't work in oils, and not because I have anything against oils, but it takes too long to dry for my living.
Yeah.
It would end up with cat and dog hair on it. So I don't. And I remember listening to an artist who was talking about people looking down on artists that use acrylics and things like that. And they said artists of the classical era would use acrylics if that was what was available right then, because they had to lay down a layer and wait, and then they had to lay down another layer and wait. And there are times here in Phoenix when I get angry because it takes a while, because it dries faster than what I want it to. But all of that waiting is an issue. That's why, and it wasn't Bob Ross that developed the wet on wet technique. It was another guy, and Bob Ross studied from him, and I can't remember his name right now. Something Alexander. William Alexander was the one that was teaching wet on wet technique for oil paints, because you could finish a painting in less time because you didn't have to wait for the oils to dry. However, it only works with certain kinds of painting, like trees.
Landscapes.
You know, it does not work for things like faces and
portraiture.
all that. Yeah, but that's okay, because look at how many people have had joy in those classes of making something, and it doesn't matter that it is exactly the same as what Bob Ross's is, and it's never exactly the same, but it doesn't matter.
You know, I was thinking about this the other day, because there's this woman I know, and I won't divulge who she is or where she works, but she always says that, you know, people say there's a wrong way and a right way to do things. And she believes that there's no right way to do things, that whatever works for you is the best thing, right? She says that with her lips. And then every time I say something like, oh, I bought a sock machine, oh, yeah, where'd you get it? Oh, I got it from this, Dean and Bean, and they're 3D printed, so they're basically plastic. They have metal parts like the needles and all that, but it's biodegradable, it's more affordable. I don't know if I'm gonna jump headlong into knitting socks for my whole life. Like, that's obviously just one aspect of my life. I don't want to spend $3 million. Anyway, and she's like, oh, no, I would only ever use blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you just reduced me into nothing. And I'm like, you are always saying how there's no one right way. But then when I bought the spinning wheel I bought, she's also like, well, what kind of support do they have? Because, Ashford or these other brands, because I have two, actually, from Spinolution. And, like, are they going to be around forever? And are they going to have support forever? And I'm like, who's to say Ashford's going to be around forever? But I'm like, why are you, like, she always, like makes me feel so small by saying those things. And I'm like, I thought you were the one who said however it worked.
Do you remember when I first moved here, we went to some galleries in Scottsdale, and I just wanted to try to find out how they were getting the artists that they were showing, right? And she goes, well, what's medium? I said, mostly I do acrylic. She goes, oh, they won't show anything acrylic. That's not real art, or something like that. And I was just like, okay, we need to.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I do. And I was like, okay, I definitely don't like you, and I am leaving. Because it doesn't matter.
Wow.
It doesn't matter. And I don't know if you guys remember, in Mom and Dad's house, there was a painting of a basket of flowers on the wall, I believe in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Remember that painting?
Yeah.
Do you know where that?
Yeah. Mom did that.
Mom did that. Did you? Should she tell you where she did it? I was working for a craft store.
It was one of those painting classes or something, right?
I was working for a craft store, and there was a painting class, and I said, Mom, take the painting class with me. And she goes, no, I said, come on, Mom, take the painting class with me. Now, I never finished my painting. I am too detail-oriented to finish in that kind of class. I never finished the painting. But Mom did, and it was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
And And it was just, she never said, oh, I'd like to do that again or anything like that. She thought it was a waste of money for me to do it, honestly. But she had fun, and she finished her painting, and it was beautiful, and she had it up in the bathroom, and I was so glad that she displayed it, because Mom always said, oh, I'm not artistic, I'm not,
Yeah.
I can't cook, or, and I was like, yes, you can, know. And so for especially when somebody's in a position to teach, I think that it is very important to not put down how somebody does something.
Right.
You can teach them a better technique, but if that is not the way their brain works, they're not going to do it that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, if I wanted to take a month to do a painting or a drawing, and you know what? Right here, we're going to put a close-up of the painting that's half obscured over here of my dad. You've seen it before. That I did not do that in a day. I didn't do it in 2 days. And I did that with the instructor there doing it. And I did another painting with a similar kind of vibe, I want to say, of Mark. And we might be able to put that here, I don't know.
Where even is that?
I gave it to you and Mark.
No.
Yes.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
But I didn't do it in a day. Now, when I did the painting of Mark, I did not have the kinds of things that I had at art school, and one of them was this thing that you could put a picture in it, and it would display it down really big, and you could adjust how big onto your paper, so you could put basic outlines of what you were going to draw, right? And so when people say, did you freehand that? Does it matter? Because it doesn't matter if you freehand it. Sometimes I freehand stuff, but I like the accuracy of being able, and it's not exactly tracing, I can't explain it to you, but of being able to accurately get a face right. And it's more difficult if you're trying to freehand. And if those two tools are available to you, you should use them. If there were not tuning things for musicians to tune to, it would be a real problem. So why can't I use something to display a picture where I can then look at it? I have done art from TV shows using several things through a TV show, and I didn't do that by pausing it and holding it forever. Now, I won't explain how I did it, it's too hard, but you use the tools that are available to you, and you do the art the way you want to do it. So if you're quilting or paint or drawing or cross stitching or whatever, and you're doing it your way, and that's not the way the establishment wants to do it,
Enjoy yourself.
it is something
that's
that
like
you are doing because you want to,
That's like
not because it's your job.
In cross stitching, there's such a controversy about a lot of times about what fabric you use. Like there are a lot of people that and it's kind of a thing now about, but there's a lot of people that in cross stitching look down on Ada, on
She needs the
anything
bathroom.
doing using Ada, that it's saying, oh, it's too stiff, oh, it's too simple, oh, whatever. And the thing is that there are some people, a lot of people that stitch on Ada because it's more accurate. It's
I love
very
Ada.
square. It's very easy to see the holes, whatever.
Like, what's
For-
more important, that you
Yeah.
that you enjoy your craft, or that you be frustrated by your craft?
Right.
Well, even today on Stitching with the Housewives thing that was today, you know, they use 28 count fabric. And somebody had asked a question about something along those lines. I can't remember what the question was. And she says, use 14 count. If you want to use 14 count stuff, we use 28 count because that's what we're comfortable with. But use whatever you're comfortable with,
Right.
you know, because it doesn't matter what fabric you're doing it on.
Yeah.
I look at what they did it on, and then I decide what I'm going to do it on. You know.
Yeah, the you know, yes, there's some Ada that's very stiff and hard to, like. I have one that it's really hard to get in the hoop because it's so thick and stiff, but
it's not
but-
wrong.
right, yeah. For some people, like, oh, you know, like I remember somebody told me once that I think they went like to a needlework shop, and they asked something about Ada, like.
If they had it, or
Like
something.
if they had it, or if this pattern could be done in Ada or something like that, and the owner, I guess, or whatever of the shop was like very dismissive of Ada, like oh, that's like it was a beginner fabric.
Well, that's
And
like
it's, you know,
like the person talking to me like that about acrylics. It's
Right.
like it doesn't matter what I use. What matters is the end result.
Right.
I as a musician, I was very I guess had a very controversial stance because my teacher in college played on plastic reeds and
So normally bassoons and
Yes.
oboes and clarinets use wooden reeds made with bamboo cane.
yeah, made out of cane. And so and for a while in the 70s ish, I guess, there was something called fiber cane, which was a plastic made to imitate cane. So it had like grain and it had, you know, fibers or whatever. But then that kind of fell out of favor. I guess a lot of sax players used it, especially jobbers, you know, who did a lot of playing and, you know, with gigs and stuff like that, because
Sessions and
it was something
jazz
that
stuff.
could
Last
it
long
wasn't
and-
it wasn't, I guess it wasn't as crucial sometimes on some kinds of saxophones, and somebody who played several different instruments like flute and sax and this and that and the other, a lot of times they would use that because, you know, it didn't have to stay wet and, you know, and all that stuff, and it would last longer and blah blah blah. But for clarinets, for oboes, for bassoons, the fiber cane stuff wasn't as good, I guess, or wasn't as popular. And then, but there was different kinds of plastic, and so around the time that I started in college, or just before college, or right around college, whatever, my teacher started playing, you know, came across plastic reeds that he liked, and he would do all kinds of things to adjust them. And so when I started, I was, you know, kind of ignorant about the whole idea, and so I just went ahead and I just did whatever he did. And so I learned, you know, how to work on the reeds and stuff like that, and I played it all through college. And when I got to graduate school, my teacher there, one of the reasons that I went that I studied with that particular guy was that Artemis told me, my teacher told me, he won't make you, like, you know, change the cane. He'll you know, go ahead and go along with that, whatever. And so he did. He let me play in that. He taught me how to make cane reeds or whatever, just because he said, I think you should know. You know, I feel like you should know how. And so I did, but I played on plastic. And then all through my professional career, I played on plastic. And I learned early on not to say anything to anybody.
Yeah.
And to just play. And 99% of the time,
I went
people...
to New England Conservatory on plastic reeds. I studied with the same gentleman.
And
So-
people didn't know.
Yep.
People didn't know, you know,
As
like...
long as you sound okay.
Yeah, because when I auditioned in Arkansas, my colleague, the first bassoonist, I auditioned by myself, and then I auditioned with her in the second round to sort of see how we played together and stuff like that. And so we played together and all this, and then she looked, and so I got the job. And then the first rehearsal that we had, you know, I was sitting there, I was warming up, whatever, and then she looked over at me and she goes, "Is that a plastic reed?" And I said, "Yes," you know, because I was like afraid what she was going to say. And she said, "Did you play on that during your audition?" And I said, "Yes." "Were you playing on plastic during your audition?" Yes, yeah. And so she's like, "Oh my gosh!" And so and the conductor that we had didn't know until somebody told him.
Mm-hmm.
And even David, when he came later, he didn't know until somebody told him.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, yeah, you can't tell that I'm playing on plastic. You can't, you know.
There's just a stigma about
yeah,
it. It's just a similar thing. And the bad part about it, and the end of the story is that the guy there was one guy who made the really good plastic reeds, and he died.
Yeah.
And so there's no more plastic reeds.
Yeah.
So now we're playing on cane at the mercy of people who make them for us. So
yeah.
Thank
So
you.
I'm having to relearn how to
Phoenix Symphony, who made me reeds last week, and they were great for the concert.
Yeah.
So we better go.
We better go. I gotta go. I gotta work tonight at the concert just for a little while. Mm-hmm. So I gotta go get some stuff done. Oh, quick story. Very quick. Our bathroom got redone because we had extra granite, right? And then we took these giant mirrors down. We painted. We're like, we don't really want the giant mirrors back. We don't really want to hang them. Okay, we're going to hang them ourselves and blah, blah, blah. So long story short, we go to hang we finally got laser level and all that to hang the new mirrors up. And the night we were going to do it, because the old cabinet had been pulled out and the new one in, and we didn't even think to go and get some sealant around the drywall.
Did you drop the mirror behind it?
No. All our little ant friends that live outside found
no.
their way in again.
Oh no.
So instead of hanging the mirrors, we had to get silicone and like go under the cabinets like that, so that because we're like, where are they coming from? And
so
they were coming under the
here
cabinets.
in Arizona are hard to get rid of.
So he's gonna bait outside, but we spent the night, and then I went to go buy silicone to seal it, and he's like, probably should get clear. I'm like, okay. And I was there in the aisle, and I said, the guy's like, well, you need some help, little lady, right? And I was like, I need silicone. We're sealing the bottom of our cabinetry, and he's like, oh, you're gonna want clear, unless your bathroom's all white. And I'm like, no, it's blue and all this other stuff, dark blue cabinets. I'm like, why do you let me do crazy things like dark blue cabinets? They're gorgeous, but it's just weird. Anyway. I'm like, and he goes, oh yeah, you're gonna want clear. So he grabbed it and he handed it to me, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll stick with the clear. Didn't look at it. It was white, but actually the silicone that seals the granite all the way around is white. So it kind of, and it's down there. In 2 weeks we won't even see it anymore. But that was my fault. I'm like, you want me to go back and get clear? And he's like, no, and he's just laying on the floor, poor guy, putting it on there.
I have.
If you niche.
As soon as I get this
brother
needle in the right place, because I thought I was right.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Missing. No,
oh my
it's
gosh.
Not, no.
She doesn't know how to cross stitch.
I was trying to get. I can't get the needle in the right place because it's
I'll just turn it around anyway. It's basically done.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So particular. Has to be in the right hole or something.
When I was working on the word flamingo, I got to almost all the way through the O, and I ran out of thread, and I'm like, can I make it? I'm like, no. So I had to get out a new thing of thread for, I think it was 3 stitches.
Oh, yeah.
I hate that.
Show it.
Wait,
just show it.
I'm going to cramp at my finger.
Just show it. You can anchor the thread later.
My finger is cramping. Pushing that needle. Yay.
Oh, it's crooked.
Yeah.
Hold it straight. Ta-da. Congrats, Beth.
Yes.
All right, we're going to go. It's next time you see us, Beth will be older. Even older than she is now.
Yes.
Because that's imaginable. And we will see you next week. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, so we can give you fun stuff.
Yeah.
Bye. See you next week.
Bye.
it finally? Finally we're done?